In this time of the pandemic, where COVID-19 has crippled the world economies, where our government has ordered nationwide shutdown, where hospitals are overwhelmed.
Shortly after, the unthinkable happened.
I was literally stunned and frozen.
And their religious leaders are proven to be frauds. Where do you go to get all your questions answered and to hear what God has to say about this matter? You can only find the answers in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge under Commanding General YAHANNA. We give you scriptural breakdowns of world events and the up and coming world war. We will show you in the Bible where the children of Israel, who are the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans today, would suffer slavery in Jamaica, Caribbean, North, Central, and South America, and other parts of the world. We will show you in the Bible where God said He would send plagues upon the earth before He frees people from this captivity.
The World Health Organization has declared coronavirus a global pandemic.
We will give you the true teaching of the Bible, precept upon precept. To learn more, subscribe today and call the number in the description for I.S.U.P.K Jamaica. Shalom. Okay. Shalom, Israel. This is the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. I.S.U.P.K started Harlem, New York, 1969, and I.S.U.P.K is run today by Commanding General YAHANNA, the man with the rank and the authority to be the leader of the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans at this time. I want to say Yahweh Basham Yawashai Barakatam to the brothers, Yahweh Shamar Ailatan Basham Yawashai to the sisters. Welcome to our, well, not really scripture breakdown, the Feast of Dedication called Hachanakka, which is found in the book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 4, 52 to 61. All right, so what we're looking at today now? We're looking at what was happening at the time in Jerusalem when you had the Grecian invasion of Jerusalem. And as you know, the Jerusalem, who are the children of Jerusalem, that's us, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans at this time of today, are the Israelites of the Bible. Yes, and those we have down there now, those are bastards. And it's not the first bastards come down there. And we might cover some of that today, where when the Grecians came down there, they did put bastards in the land too. They did put heathens in the land. But what was happening at that time? we almost lose the kingdom. What the fuck? We had lost the kingdom. We had lost the kingdom. It's just because of the goodness of the Most High, and because Christ didn't come as yet, why He showed some mercy and let us keep the kingdom. But after Christ came, same thing happened again. This time not the Grecian, but the Romans. And there was no need for the Most High to save it, because we had become sinful anyways, and the Daniel's vision amounting to the times of the Gentiles that Christ speak of was at hand at the time of Christ. So the Most High did not save the kingdom. But what we see today now, we have a mirrored effect, or what happened with what is happening today with us, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, is synonymous with what happened in Jerusalem at the time of the Grecian invasion. Even though by the time the Grecian invaded, the northern kingdom was already out the land. So it was really Judah, Benjamin, and half of Levi. And other tribes were in brothers from families from other tribes were in the southern kingdom, but they were not there as a tribe. They were just there as families. So you would find a couple Danite, you would find a couple Ephraim, you would find a couple of this, a couple of that. Each of the 12, you'll find a couple of them within the southern kingdom at that time. But the majority of the northern tribes had already left. Officer Kayado, are you there yet?
Cancer, still searching for the video. Cancer,
Okay.
Yabasham Shakata.
So when the Grecian invaded and we regained the land, then the brothers at that time came up with they had to rededicate the temple, because the temple was desecrated by the heathens, the Grecians, and the Grecian bringing other races in there. And none of them said spare them. They all said spoil them. Just like today. Who is saying which nation of people across the world would show some pity and petition America on behalf of the black Americans there, on behalf of Judites in America? Of all the nations in the world today, none of them has ever said, if it isn't to do what we did when it came to South Africa back in the apartheid time. We never had much power, but we were the first one to say, because of the way you're treating people in South Africa, we're going to have sanctions against you. And we draw sanctions against South Africa. And no, big America and Britain after followed. Which country in the world today can say, America, because of the way you are dealing with the way you are treating the blacks in your country, we're not going to do this, or we're not going to do that, or even to speak on behalf of the blacks? None.
Gone.
And it was the same thing in the time of the Grecian invasion. All right. So we had many of our families had gone into slavery at that time as well. That's how you end up with Israelites being in the Isles of the Greeks at the time when Paul, the apostle of the Gentile, came about to find the Israelites who were scattered in the Isles of the Greeks. But this was a book which was taken out of the Bible. Maccabees, found in the Apocrypha. They took out the entire Apocrypha. Why? They give us some foolful reason, but when you read it, you can read those books and have an idea what have an idea who or which nation of people would have been the Israelites today. All right. In the meantime, I can read. Let's go to
Cancer.
First Maccabees chapter 1. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to look at what was happening in Jerusalem at that time of the Grecian invasion. We're going to try and paint a picture to you, listeners, as to what was really happening.
Canada one cancer.
Reading from verse 11.
Canada one can.
11 to 15.
Canada one can. This is the book of First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 11. In those days, when there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow.
All right, so I want to pay attention to this. Those days went out of Israel. The Bible called them wicked men.
God.
Who persuaded many, saying, let's go make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. Because since we depart from them, we have had much sorrow. What was the sorrow they were having? You can't get to smoke your weed, you can't get to eat piece of pork, you can't get to celebrate Easter, you can't get to celebrate Christmas. You see all the nation around you, when they touch this time of year, they get into what they call the Christmas spirit. But we weren't doing that. So to these wicked men, these were the things that were bringing sorrow. Can't get to celebrate Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving wasn't around then, but I'm sure you had another holiday during that time by those wicked men, by those wicked nations that we were around about. So they said, we could go back to the Eden. And if you notice, the Bible call them wicked men.
Right.
How are wicked men in our society today described?
It's like, yes, sir, as, gunslingers, gangsters.
Gunslingers, gangsters.
God.
Yeah, those are what our society lead us today to believe that are the wicked men, don't?
God.
But here the Bible is telling you who is the wicked men. Those who were leading us astray to go celebrate Christmas. Which holiday we just gone through again? In America there.
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. We don't celebrate Thanksgiving in Jamaica, so maybe it's a good thing, because it probably would be a difficult task to get them people to not to eat that big turkey.
Right.
So, but anyway, we don't Thanksgiving is not an holiday celebrated in Jamaica. And we give thanks to the Most High for that, because you remember that class with General Mahaiman Thursday, you watched it?
Cancer.
And you hear what the Godite brothers said?
Right, cancer.
Yeah, man, trust me. The first brother who spoke, trust me, knocked me in my heart, and I wasn't the one. We were the ones in America who betrayed them, but the way the Godite brother put it, man, what was his name again? Karash or Charas or something like that. I don't remember his name. But our UPK brother, our Godite brother, the brother said, when we were enslaved with these tribes, when many of us in blacks run away from the plantations, the Indians took them in, cared for them, protected them, gave their daughters to them to marry, and then them turn around. They say even during the time of the civil rights in America, many Native Americans came out and supported the blacks, demonstrated with them, were right there with them, experiencing some of the police brutality with them. And then what happened? How did we repay them? Turn around and go celebrate Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving is the white man giving thanks in their way, what they think, to their God for their victory over the American Indians. And we know that victory came by bloodshed.
Right.
They murdered thousands, hundreds of thousands of American Indians to gain that victory over them, right? And we blacks turn around and help them turn around and celebrate Thanksgiving with the white man who didn't enslave us. So these wicked men now are those who encourage us to keep Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year celebration, Valentine's Day, Easter, Halloween. You know, they encourage us to despise the Most High's holiday because they keep none of the holidays that the Most High gave us, which are in the Bible. Right? So the wicked men that are described in the Bible are not the ones like we have today, we call the gangster, the extortioner, and so on. Guess what? Those men came about as a byproduct of what the wicked men lead the nation to do. Right? The wicked men came and says, follow, let's go to the Edens, because since we have departed from them, we have had much sorrow. Right? So in our society like today now, our government treating the men, the gangsters, you know, like they are the real wicked man. Which way the real wicked man today is who? The pastor who now is preparing you to go and celebrate Christmas.
Right.
Knowing that one, Christ never born in December. Two, there is no precedence in the Bible where Christ's birthday was celebrated. Christ, when you read the Bible, Christ's birthday, Christ born and around tax time. And from Bible days until now, tax time is in April. Esau changed a lot of things, you know, but it don't change in money time. Man, Esau don't play with the money. Right? So these wicked men now, your pastors and your rulers, your political leaders, who are now going to encourage you to celebrate Christmas. And then right after Christmas, you're going to celebrate Janus, the God of new beginnings, what that we call January. That's idolatry. So real wicked men lead the people to go into idolatry. And that idolatry now cause things like these to happen. These things that we are going to read further on in this chapter. All right, let's go on. Verse 12.
Another one can, verse 12. So this device pleased them well.
Continue.
Verse 13. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathen.
Right. So here you have it. What's the ordinance of the heathen? What are the ordinances? Let me see if we can find ordinance meaning. What are ordinance?
Another one can. Ordinance. An authoritative order.
Religious right, go down to that.
Cancer. A religious
Two.
right.
Right. The strict observation of religious ordinance was no doubt quickened by the remorse he felt. Right. So they want to do of carry out the religious rites of the heathens.
Can.
What are those religious rites? Sacrificing pigs on the altar.
Right.
Pig sacrifice was, I think it was Jupiter. Yeah, I think Jupiter was one of the gods of the Grecians. Jupiter and something. So we can find it. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 14. Where upon they build a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen.
They built, you see the first thing it named, they built a place of exercise. What's that? That was gym,
A
gymnasium.
Can.
So one of the first act of joining the heathens with our wicked act was to build gymnasium.
Right.
Yeah, you want to go to the gym. We say, yeah, we go to the gym and get fit. So you're going to look and say, so why would God despise the gymnasium? Well, back in the days, you're going to the gymnasium to gymnasium was built onto Jupiter and Olympus, the god in which Olympic come from. The Olympics that you go and run and celebrate and get famous in came from Olympus.
Can.
You used to you notice how they run in the skimpy clothes today.
Right.
Back then it was done totally naked.
Can.
Right. So this is why it was an ungodly place, because our law say you don't show you have to cover your nakedness.
Right.
In the gymnasium, you are in skimpy clothes, ain't it?
Can.
And when you go and perform, you go and perform in skimpy clothes. So that's why it is speak of in a bad light in the Maccabees. And even today it's a bad light. The last Olympic, you look at some of the clothes that the men and women had on. Jeez and peace. The only thing was missing was the beach side.
Look, yeah.
But they were appropriately dressed for the beach or for their bathroom, their own bathroom. They were appropriately dressed for such. All right, next verse.
Another one can. Verse 15. And made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen and were told to do and were sold to do mischief.
Mischief. No, I read this part so much time and I wonder why when we want to join to the heathen, you actually go down in the gutter to join them, you know. You can be here in your good ways and they think and they associate with you.
Can.
You have to get into this down low. Read that verse again.
Another one can. Verse 15. And made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen.
All right, so you have a covenant, you have a contract with the Most High, and you now is going to put this aside to join yourself with some nations which your contract with the Most High forbids you to do. So what do you think is going to happen? The clause in every contract there are clauses in there for compensation, right? Which show you if you break the contract, what will happen to you. The clauses in our contract with the Most High, which we call the covenant, those clauses for compensation when we break the contract and fail to do our part in the contract is found in Deuteronomy 28. All Deuteronomy 28 show you are the clauses which, if you keep the contract, this happen. If you don't keep it, such happen. And then you find that here now they deliberately choose. It's not like no, a person born today not knowing they were Israelite. They were making conscious choice to not be an Israelite. I mean, one of the things you find with the Edens is that they don't beat. So think of you now, stop circumcising your child and that child not bathing as often as he should. Lord of mercy.
Good.
That's a real stinky baby. Right?
Good.
We have our laws that says wash. Right? And we know making conscious decision to uncircumcise the child. Because remember, I know we went to them, right? We were having many skirmishes with them. They tried to war or something, but at least they never overthrew us because we were keeping the laws. And then we now consciously decide and say, boy, it's like you would say, so one day them people have overthrown. Make we go and join ourselves with them. And they went and do that. All right. So they made a conscious decision. And you're at verse what?
Canada 1 can, verse 16.
All right. So before you go to 16, you're going to drop down to 20.
Canada 1 can. This is the book of 1 Maccabees chapter 1 verse 20. And after that, Antiochus had smitten Egypt. He returned again in the 143rd year and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude.
All right, so he went down, he now decided to invade us. After we went and joined with them, Him say, all right, let's go and invade these people. Obviously, they know what it took for us to fall and what would give them victory over us. All right, before you move there, stick up in where you're at. The verse before this, which tell you that we built a place of exercise. If you read Second Maccabees 1, no, Second Maccabees 6. Go to Second Maccabees chapter 6.
Canada 1 can. Canada 1 can. Which verse, sir?
Hold on.
Okay.
All right, so if you read Second Maccabees, all right, start from 1.
Canada 1 can. This is the book of 2 Maccabees chapter 6, verse 1. Not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the Lord, Slakia, the laws of God.
So who did it?
The king,
That's,
Antiochus.
all right. So you know, Antiochus was a real mischievous bastard, you know, man. According to what we are seeing here, Antiochus made mischief like it was, I don't know. This is because what happened, you know, they had power and they were filthy and had power.
God.
So I mean, a man being filthy and have power, what you're going to expect? He's going to use his power to do filthiness.
God.
All right, next verse.
Another one can, verse 2. And to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter, Olympius.
You see?
God.
So the heathen even changed the name of our temple and call it the Temple of Jupiter Olympus. So you know what happened? They did all the nastiness that would have gone in wrong in their temple.
Right.
They now bring it into our temple, Jerusalem. Continue reading and you will see some of them.
Another one can. And that in Garism of Jupiter, the defender of strangers, as they did desire that dwelt in the place. Verse 3.
Verse 3.
Verse 3. The coming in of this mischief was sore and grievous to the people.
All right. So who you think going to pay the price? The people, we.
Gone.
Read verse 4.
Another one can, verse 4. For the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles.
All right. So the temple was filled with riot. Why call it riot? Was it that they were what's the word you would use now? Making war? Let's see what riot means.
Another one can. Another one can. Riot. A violent disturbance of the peace by a crowd.
All right. Is that the only meaning?
Last, sir. 2. An impressively large or varied display of something.
All right. Impressively large display of what? Something.
Or varied display of something.
A varied display of something. Any other meaning there?
You have take part in a violent public disturbance.
All right. So it's not that. Go on again.
Silakia, those are the ones that.
Those are the three. So in the temple, what the first one said, the first meaning say again?
Another one can. A violent disturbance of the peace by a crowd.
All right. Disturbance of the peace by a crowd. And it sounds loud and boisterous. Just like a church today.
Right.
They are riotous. So they see them like them in spirit, and Jupiter, in the temple of Jupiter, the same thing was happening. One again. What's the other meaning, say?
Another one can. An impressively large or varied display of something.
So they also brought in images of their gods there.
Okay, good.
right? Large images of their gods would have been displayed in the temple. Now read on. There are some other things. Reveling. Oh, it's a reveling. What is reveling?
Another one can. Another one can. Revel. Enjoy oneself in a lively and noisy way, especially
Right.
with drinking and dancing.
Drinking and dancing. So, where they were partying there and they were worshiping their gods. So it means that they would have they would be having the holy days, the ordinances that would have been to those gods, the holidays, or we say holy days,
Can.
they would be keeping them in the temple. So Christmas would be in the temple, Easter would be in the temple. And you know, those are times for us to for those who celebrate those holidays, time for them to drink and party, don't?
Can.
Right. So they would be doing it in the temple. Continue.
Another one can. Continue with the meaning or jump back to the
No,
verse.
jump back to verse 4.
Another one can. Verse 4.
Just read it over.
Silaki, I'm gonna read verse 4 yet. You want me to read over verse 3?
No man, at 4 you did start with the riot and reveling.
Okay, Silaki. Verse 4. For the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles.
Mm-hmm.
Another one can. Who dallied with harlots and
Mm-hmm. So they had wars in the temple.
can.
So that tell you why they were reveling in the temple. They were partying and partying with harlots inside the temple. And
Another one can. Who dallied with harlots and had to do with women within the circuit of the holy places.
so they set up bedroom in the holy places where they would go and lay down with their harlots.
Okay. Can.
Because one of the marks of these temple, them Jupiter Olympus temple and them pagan temple, was what they call Vestal virgins, which were young ladies who would have kept the temple, kept the innermost part of the temple.
Can.
But the priests, when members go to their priests with certain, I don't know what it is, they would go to them with. They could pay money to go and lay with one of those Vestal virgins who really was harlots.
Can.
So, and you see where it would take place? Right in our holy places. They put women in there. All right. And what else? And besides that,
Another one can. And besides that, brought in things that were not lawful.
right, they brought in things in the temple that were not lawful. They brought unlawful things in the temple.
Can.
Pigs, for once. They sacrificed pig on the altar.
Can.
So they did other things too. The uncircumcised. All right, verse 5.
Another one can. Verse 5. The altar also was filled with profane things, which the law forbiddeth.
All right. So let's go back to First Maccabees now.
Another one can.
We were at verse 20?
20 can, sir.
All right.
Read it back.
Yes.
Another one can. This is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 20. And after that, Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 143rd year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude.
All right. 21.
Another one can, verse 21. And entered proudly into the sanctuary, and took away the golden altar and the candlestick of light, and all the vessels thereof.
So he went into the sanctuary. So here now is describing how they were laying the foundation for what we read about in 2nd Maccabees, right? Went into the sanctuary, took away the golden altar, the candlestick, and the vessels, all them golden vessels and things that were in there to serve wines and oils, anointing oils to the people and things. They took them away because they were splendid indeed. 22.
Another one can, verse 22. And the table of the shewbread, and the pouring vessels, and the vials.
We had a golden table which we would lay the daily bread, laid bread on it. Oh, you set the table, you set the bread for the week, I think. And you would change it like every Sabbath. The same bread that was given to David by the priest, they took away that table. Continue.
Another one can. And the censers of gold, and the veil, and the crown, and the golden ornaments that were before the temple, all which he pulled off.
Right. So which crown would have been in there now? I think you would have probably David crown in there.
Okay.
Because no, after this was after the time of Jeremiah when we went into the Babylonian captivity. And we were now back in the land. We were going to lose it again. This time it would not be the Babylonians this time, but the Grecians came and take away all those things. So and if you remember, even though we were restored, the temple was restored, but the throne was not restored, really. We weren't ruled by king. We were ruled by mainly governors, but the temple had authority over the people. What do I know? 23.
Another one can, verse 23. He took also the silver and the gold and the precious vessels. Also he took the hidden treasures which he found.
Right. When we were in the west coast of Africa and they came upon us again, it was the same thing that happened. All the things that we had, we weren't around there living in no bush as that would tell you. You look at these people that you are around today. These people don't look like any nation that came out of no bush. Right? And the white man doing himself an injustice to talk about we came out of the bush. Because you're going to make some bushman run faster than you, beat you at almost everything in school and everywhere. So much so that you have to give yourself at least a 50-year head start. You have to commission your banks to treat us like 4th and 5th class citizens.
Right.
And yet you're going to say we are bushmen. We weren't no bushmen. We came from a civilization. But they knew where we came from. That's why they take these books out. Where are now? 21.
24.
All right, read on.
Another one can, verse 24. And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre and spoken very proudly.
Right. So he went back home into one of the isles of the Greece, to whichever Greece island he was in and have control over. Beat up him chest, proud, mash up iron mighty Jerusalem. Here are the vessels and things that we took from them. Now can you imagine the power and fanfare he got when he went back home?
Right.
Continue.
Canada 1 can, verse 25. Therefore, there was a great mourning in Israel, in every place where they were.
Right. So this, of course, brought us, because the temple thing's gone. So those of us who weren't with the wicked men of Israel understood what it meant to what this time was like the majority of the people understood what it meant to have the temple. So the righteous went into mourning. All right, drop down to 29.
Canada 1 can, verse 29.
29 to 32.
Canada 1 can. Silakia, to how much?
I think 32.
Canada 1 can, sir. Verse 29. And after 2 years fully expired, the king sent his chief collector of tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came unto Jerusalem with a great multitude.
So after him marching Jerusalem and him mash it up, bam, bam, lick up the temple, take away the things, and um, sell the people to mischief, sacrificing bad things on the altar and all that. What him do know? 2 years after him march into Jerusalem with a great multitude, who him send this time? Is chief collector of tribute.
God,
So that is who? The chief collector of taxes.
God.
So I'm sending the IRS now into Jerusalem to come and collect. Verse 30.
Canada 1 can, verse 30. And spake peaceably words unto them, but all was deceit. For when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city, smote it very sore.
Yeah, and smote it very sore,
And destroyed much people of Israel.
so after him come now, the chief collector of taxes now, the head of the IRS coming to Jerusalem. He come and him speak peaceably to the people, and the people them listen to him and say, okay, man, I sound like a man who can work with. So what do you think up now? Your guard's not up anymore, no. Your guards, relax.
God,
So when him get the guards down, when you get your guards down, what he did, just come out with the army and just slaughter people. Wow. He destroyed much of Israel at that time. Verse 31.
Canada 1 can, verse 31. And when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire and pulled down the houses and walls thereof on every side.
Right. So after him take this, so him come now slaughter people and thing, and people get free of them army and thing. What he do? Come in the house and take the spoils, whatever in the house he want,
Right.
and then him tear down the houses. Right? Just find ways to probably use horses or whatever and just pull down the walls, drop them flat on the ground, boof, boof, tear down our houses on every side. All right, 32.
Another one can, verse 32. But the women and the children took their captive and possessed the cattle.
But he took the women and children captive. So you see what real wicked men cause? They cause slavery.
Right.
Which is why our people is in a life of servitude until today. Because those real wicked men who are not firing the guns, who are not, you don't see them out there physically killing anybody. I hear that they physically kill somebody. But they do molest your children. They do sleep with men, right? But they are not, they don't fit the description that the society would show you as who are the wicked men, who are the ones you call gangsters, right? The real wicked men lead you into slavery, cause you to break the Most High's laws, and because you break the Most High's laws, your punishment eventually is slavery, because he's going to send a nation over you because you break the laws. When did the Grecians march on Jerusalem? After we went to them, right? And tell them that, yes, man, we're going to follow our ordinances and things. Let them come in and take over our temple and call it Temple of Jupiter Olympus. Goodness gracious. All right, that was what, 32. Drop down to 38 now.
Another one can, verse 38.
All right, before you go to that, you found the pictures? You had found them?
Can, sir. I have some pictures.
I have some pictures.
Can, sir.
All right, so where are the slaves now?
Okay.
All right, so here you have now a picture of what real wicked men cause.
Good.
So this is the kind of slavery that is the chattel slavery. Now show me a nice black man going to work today. Because show me a nice black man, huh?
Find a picture, sir.
Yeah, give me a picture of a black man going to slavery today. Not in this manner, but we now walking into slavery. You see them sticker with the hook part around the neck. This is what they would use to pin you to the ground. Then just when they're chasing you and they grab you, they would just pin your neck to the ground with that part. Because they want you to sell, They don't want to kill you. They want to catch you.
Good.
So they use that part to pin your neck to the ground. And then that part, now after them catch you and tie you up, that part now put you into this. How they have you leading you into slavery. So any black person going to work today can do, because this is now how the slaves look.
Gone.
So because of this, we don't believe that we are in slavery.
Right.
That is why we tell you that in these last years, it's really a spiritual battle you're fighting. Because we do go to school and think to come out looking like this, going to our work. But that work is in service to another nation.
Okay.
You're not serving your own people when you do this. I am dressing like this. You're serving another nation. Right? And right now we serve Esau. We serve Esau, we serve the Chinese, we serve the Elamites. We have a couple Arabs and Pakistan is among us too. All right, now back to what verse what I said. I can leave that up if you want. Verse 38 now. Same first Maccabees. Hello?
Salakia, sir. Mike did mute. Salakia. Canada one can. First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 38. In so much that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them, whereupon the city was made an habitation of strangers and became strange to those that were born in her, and her own children left her.
So even from this time, in Galatians they tell us Jerusalem is the mother of us all. Even from this time, we were called the children of Jerusalem. Right? So the inhabitants of Jerusalem, who are the Jews, who are the Israelites, fled
God.
because of them, because of the wickedness that were happening there. All right? So the city was made an habitation of strangers and became strange to those that were born there. So Judites, well, Jerusalem of Judites, it was within the borders of Judah, but all 12 tribes had residence in Jerusalem. So all of us had to flee. When I say all 12 tribes, I mean families of the other tribes would reside there as well. But it was really a Judite city. Verse 40.
Salakia. Verse
39, sorry, 39.
Canada one cancer. Verse 39. Her sanctuary was laid waste like a wilderness. Her feasts were turned into mourning. Her Sabbaths into reproach. Her honor into contempt.
Right, so basically, this is painting a picture of what Jerusalem had become when the heathens marched upon Jerusalem. This was the Grecians,
God.
right? That's a Greek or Syrian. It's really a Grecian, a white man. They're Esau's descendants. Verse 40.
Canada one can. Verse 40. As had been her glory, so was her dishonor increased, and her
Right. This part, you know, I mean, you remember in the time of Solomon, the description of Jerusalem, splendid, glorious.
God.
Now that the dishonor gone, the dishonor was just as huge and splendid as in the glory. So huge misfortune reached us. Continue.
Canada one can. And her excellency was turned into mourning.
All right. So all the excellent things that would have been happening in Jerusalem now became mourning. Right?
Can.
All right. Continue.
Canada one can. Verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people.
So King Antiochus the one? said, all should be out of many, one people.
God, God. Yeah.
Oh my God. Let me go home. Right. So just like today, what we say?
Out of many
Out
one.
of many one people.
God.
So the king now says the same thing. The king said, we are to become one. And they put this in writing throughout the whole kingdom. So throughout everywhere that they reign, that what was said. All should be one. Continent.
Can. Verse 42. And everyone should leave his laws. So all the Eden agree according to the commandment of the king.
Right. So the other nation don't have no qualm so much in following him because, I mean, they're all filthy people.
Right.
Wash it fair. All people should subscribe to out of many one people, and all people should become one. Isn't that what is written on one of the writing on the US dollar? Out of many one. Yeah,
God.
the same thing. Same way, they studied Bible in how to control us Israelites. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 43. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath.
All right. Verse 1,
43, sir.
43. Many of the Israelites joined. So we know this is your what happened in the 60s again. Civil rights.
God.
This is your civil rights in those times, you know, where you have many of the Israelites consenting to his religion. Start celebrating Christmas, start celebrating Easter, start celebrating New Year's. Happy New Year, which is you're celebrating the God of beginnings, Janus, unknowingly,
God.
and profaned the Sabbath, which means we stop keeping the Sabbath. The things that we shouldn't be doing on the Sabbath, we're doing on the Sabbath. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 44. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah that they should follow the strange laws of the land.
Right. Why was it called strange laws? It was strange to us. It's what we
God.
used to is the laws that are in the scriptures.
God.
So to us, those laws that were coming in were strange. You know, these laws which were ordinances to other gods, to Jupiter Olympus, became strange. They were strange unto us. As we read in Second Maccabees, as we read in Second Maccabees, you know, having women in the temple, or lots, I should say, in the temple, in the holies of holies.
Right.
No women go in the holies of holies because they could die when we had it. But here now you have the heathens marching all over in the temple as they have a mind. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 45. And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days.
All right. So the festival days would be what? Those days that are in Leviticus 23.
Okay.
Feast of, I call it again. You have the Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread,
Okay.
Feast, what that one again? The one where you afflict your soul.
Day of Atonement.
Day of Atonement, and so on. It now becomes law that we should not keep our laws.
Okay.
So I'm sent letters unto Jerusalem to read to our taskmasters that these are what you should now do. You should follow our laws. You should not burn any offering in the temple. You should not do your sacrifices. No drink offering. Don't keep the Sabbath. Don't keep the high holy days. 46.
Another one can. Verse 46. And pollute the sanctuary and holy people.
All right, 47.
Another one can. Verse 47. Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts.
See? Sacrifice swine's flesh.
Gone.
Sacrifice pig. That was pigs were was like how we can sacrifice a dove, a goat, a lamb, a cow. You would sacrifice it for Jupiter, Olympus. They sacrifice a pig, a bull, pig, bull, and again, and another animal. I think a goat or sheep. We sacrifice goats and we sacrifice bullocks. So now they want us to sacrifice, watch them on the food. They want us now to sacrifice pigs.
Gone.
So our people did went and sacrifice pigs on our altar. All right, verse what?
Verse.
I told that 47.
Gone, sir. So
Drop down to 51.
Another one can. Verse 51. In the self-same manner wrote he to his whole kingdom, and appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city.
All right, so he had overseers who were like taskmasters, are they're over cities, so they're what they call the political ones again, mayor. So they will be like mayors over the city. So these overseers now was more of a religious purpose though, because they would see to the sacrifices and to see that in all the cities of Judah, there is no sacrifice of the things that we should sacrifice, but we sacrifice in swine. Continue.
Another one can, verse 52. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the law, and so they committed evils in the land.
Right, 53.
Another one can, verse 53. And drove the Israelites into secret places, even wheresoever they could flee for succor.
All right. So wherever they could flee for succor. What the word succor mean?
Another one can.
So you find that from ever since in the land, whenever whenever nations come upon us, we have to find all the hiding places.
Can.
We have to know all the hiding places in the land. So as soon as that trumpet blown and we realize nation is upon us, we head to those head to those hiding places for succor. You find the meaning?
Can, sir. Assistance and support in times of hardship and distress.
Right. So places that we could go for assistance and support in the time of hardship that we were feeling. So we would have to hide in those places, feed ourselves, or some of us would flee into nearby territories.
Okay.
Right? We were running. Today, where do we turn for succor? Because the same thing is happening today. Wicked men of Israel is still out there persuading us to follow the ordinances of the heathen.
Can.
Still telling us, keep your Easter, keep your Thanksgiving, keep your New Year's, keep your Valentine's, keep your Easter, keep your Christmas, keep that. Where do we turn for succor? We turn right here in the I.S.U.P.K. This is
Right.
the place that we flee to today for succor. You come in the I.S.U.P.K., you will not keep Thanksgiving, you will not keep Christmas, you will keep Hachanakka, which
Can.
is the feast of the dedication. At this time, we choose to remember when the Most High had freed us from the Grecians and restored our temple. Right?
Can.
I.S.U.P.K is the place for succor today. So those of you online who serious ones, we don't want to be serious, we don't want no jokers.
Right.
The brothers, sisters that are serious about, serving the Most High. You come to the I.S.U.P.K. You those are you on TikTok. You find us on YouTube, isupkjamaica.com, and you find the class attendance sheet. Fill out these class attendance sheet. Fill them out so that you can formally come to us for succor, so that
Can.
we can wash your feet. We can show you the proper way to follow the Most High, to follow Christ. Continue.
Can. Another one can. Verse 54. Now the 15th day of the month, Casleo, in the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar, and built idol altars throughout the cities of Judah on every side.
Right. So they in every city of Judah, they built idolatrous altars
Can.
and now introduce the abomination of desolation on the altar. So they went into the altar, take away the vessels and all the things, and desecrate the people and everything. Now they're bringing in this sacrifices. Continue.
Another one gun. Verse 55. And burned incense at the door of their houses and in the streets.
Right. By our laws, where the incense supposed to be burned?
In the temple.
In the temple.
Another one gun.
So the oppressor at the time want us to do everything that we should not do. So they taught us to be rebellious, and at the same time, they expect you to follow them peaceably. But you teach us to rebel, so we're going to rebel on all angles. Because what they are doing here is to teach you to rebel against the Most High God. Right? We don't sacrifice today, but all the things that are to make us a holy people, we are encouraged to not do so. Right? We are not encouraged by the Jake in the world, by the pastors and so, to continue in the I.S.U.P.K. They want you to come follow them, and then what they want, your contributions.
Right.
They don't give one iota of care about your soul. They don't care about your soul. Just whatever you have done, just pay your tithes and throw your offering, and the Lord will understand. But here we had real wicked men. It was more up in your face these days. Continue.
Another one gun. Verse 56. And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law, which they found, they burned them with fire.
Picture some invader come and us here in Jamaica and start prosecuting us for having the Bible. Might just happen because the new system that they're coming in with now, that they are setting the stage for, is to have one religion, which is what? It's not new. They call it New World Order. It's not new. And here it is we are reading about. Didn't Antiochus say all should be one? And all should follow one ordinance as set out by the king?
God.
And they give you the Jupiter Olympus temple. Yeah, same thing as today. Telling her that's where they're going. One religion. So everybody must follow the one religion, which is thousands of years old idea. Read and understand. All right. Where are we now? Verse
Verse 56.
verse 1.
57, sir.
56. All right, 57. All right, 56. We just read 56,
God,
where they
sir.
would rent in pieces the books of the law which they found.
Slakia. Salakia, sir. You chip out a while ago, man.
Right, so I realize. So where we are at again? We were at verse 57.
Cancer.
Right, I was explaining that the, the books, the books of the law were not. Back in those days, it was not like today where you have the books of the law all in one book that we would call the Bible, right? Which is a compilation of 66 books. So this
Okay.
is really a compilation of 66 scrolls.
Right.
Back then, each of these books you see in the Bible were separate scrolls. When you want, let's read from the book of Isaiah, or as a matter of fact, they would say the book of Isaiah, the scroll of Isaiah. So I would go for the scroll of Isaiah and you roll it to whatever verse you want or whatever. And you read it. So wherever they found it, wherever these heathens found the scroll in Jerusalem, they would burn them. Tear them and burn them in front of you. So I was saying, imagine you know they come out now trying to ban the Bible, which is why those who preach that we should put away the Bible, they are the real wicked men of Israel today and turn to other things. Men in
Right.
Maccabees did. Continue.
Another one, cancer. Verse 57. And whosoever was found with any, the book of the testament, or if any committed to the law, the king's commandment was that they should put him to death.
Thank you. The King commandment says any person that was found with any of these books, or if we were committed to these laws, we were to be put to death. This is like we already showed in Bus, Bus. What's your name? What's your
Okay.
name again?
Um,
Roots. Anyway, I think it was Roots. One of them stage show. So just like back in the Grecians. This is why, huh? Hello?
Salakia, look like we have a delay, sir.
This is why you know that it is the same. This new world order thing is a world order. You want to know what the new world order? You're going to find out.
Salakia, we have a terrible delay.
Back in the days of um, the Grecian invasion, these things that you're reading about here, this is the new world order coming here. And if they are to have their way, they're going to be slaughtering many of us. But Barakata Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Shai, the Most High will have Christ riding in on the clouds before that
Right.
happened, riding in with those chariots to pull us out before that can happen. Thanks and praise to the Most High for that. Continue.
Another one, can. Verse 58. Thus did they by their authority and to the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the cities.
Continue.
Another one gone. Verse 59. Now the 25th day of the month,
9.
they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of the Most High, of God.
All right. Read on, read on.
Another one gone. Verse 60. At which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised. Verse 61. And they hung
So
the
you cause the child to be circumcised, and they would put you to death
gun.
for causing your child to be circumcised. Continue. 61.
Another one gun, sir. Verse 61. And they hung the infants about their necks and rifled their houses.
Rifled.
Rifled their houses and slew them that had circumcised them.
So they would come into your house and search your house, and if you have a baby, they're going to search that. If it's a boy child, they're going to search him, say if you circumcise him. And if you circumcise him, then hold the child, hang him by the foot upside down, and slaughter you. So that child was going to die, and you were going to die. All right. Drop that. Take me to um, chapter 2, 1 to 5. So that was the picture of what was happening in Jerusalem at the time. Pure evil against us, terrible things. Not much different from today. The only difference with today is that you don't have anybody come kicking in the door, see, checking if you uncircumcised a child. You don't have anybody checking if you are not keeping Easter and Christmas, and but you are keeping the high holy days of the Most High. It is so bad now that they don't have to do that. You are doing it to yourself.
Right.
You are the one now choosing to not keep the high holy days in Leviticus 23. Because there's no law now that say you should not. You can.
Gun.
But you know is choosing not to. So, but this is what mirrors today. So in a way, they have accomplished that new order of the world. So what we are in now, they talk about new world order. The reorder of the world from the time of slavery. What's the ancient order of the world? The Israelites were in charge. Now, order because we are the Most High is going to is pinning them with Omicron and Delta. He's pinning the system with viruses because he's now going to come in pretty soon. When Christ comes, he'll be bringing again the captivity of Israel and Jacob. So all these atrocities that took place in the time of the Grecians, there's no record either in the Bible or elsewhere where these people were brought, who brought these atrocities on us, was brought to justice. None. And more recently, this latter days slavery, no atrocities was brought to justice.
Right.
But it will be repaid under Christ. All right. Continue. Verse 1.
Canada one can.
The 2 verse 1.
Canada one can. This is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 2, verse 1. In those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the sons of Jorim, from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Madim. Verse 2. And he had 5 sons: Jonan, called Cadiz. Verse 3. Simon, called Tathi. Verse 4. Judas, who was called Maccabeus. Verse 5.
Mattathias, hold on. Hold on. Hello.
Delay.
Hold on.
Terrible.
What Mattathias was a thing there, a Levite. He was the grandson of a priest. So it means that Maccabeus phone battery dead. It just a come back now. It was half a while ago.
Sorry, I hear me?
Yeah, back now.
Okay, got it.
Right, so Mattathias was the grandson of a priest, which makes him a Levite. But the Maccabees were Levites. They were not Benjamites. Verse what?
Verse.
Oh, yeah. All right, read 4 and 5.
Canada one can. Verse 5. 4. Slakia. Judas, who was called Maccabeus. Verse 5. Eleazar, called Avaran, and Jonathan, whose surname was Aphos.
All right, so these are 5 sons of Mattathias who stood with Mattathias when Mattathias decided to make a stand for the law. All right, read on. 6 now, we're going to 14.
Canada one cancer, verse 6. And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem, verse 7, he said, Woe is me! Wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people and of the holy city, and to dwell there when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, and the sanctuary into the hand of strangers.
Continue.
Canada one can, verse 8. Her temple is become as a man without glory. Verse 9. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets. Her young men with the sword of the enemy. Verse 10. What nation has not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils?
Just like today. What
Right.
nation have not gotten a part of the Israelites under their system living off of?
God.
Every single one has.
Right.
So, same thing in the time of and these were something under BC. So there is nothing new. I'm
Right.
telling you about a new world order. It's the same old order which the world was under. Every nation have a part in our demise. That's
God.
why when the Most High shall bring again the captivity of Israel and Judah, then every nation is going to feel his wrath. Every nation is going to feel Christ's wrath. Because even from this time here, the Grecians, what happened? It says, what nation hath not a part of in our kingdom and gotten of her spoils?
Right.
Right. Verse, so, to you Rastas, even the Ethiopians get a part of us. Verse 11.
Another one gone. Verse 11. All her ornaments are taken away. Of a free woman, she's become a bond slave.
Right. So Jerusalem, we were in Jerusalem and we were free. Now we are slaves,
God.
bonded slave, bonded servants. Verse 12.
Another one gone. Verse 12. And behold, our sanctuary, even our beauty and our glory, is laid waste, and the Gentiles have profaned it.
Right. The Gentiles have, this was what Mattathias was saying, he was observing and voicing. 13.
Another one gone. Verse 13. To what end, therefore, shall we live any longer? Verse
Mm-hmm.
14. Then Mattathias and his sons rent their clothes and put on sackcloth and mourned very sore.
So these men now, Mattathias and his son, decide, no, what are you talking about here? 5 sons and a father, 6 people decide to go in mourning.
Gone.
Decide to go in mourning for the people, for the nation, for Jerusalem, because they are familiar with the beauty of Jerusalem, the beauty of the people, how we prosper when we keep the laws. Just like we in UPK today, we understand the beauty of our people, we understand the riches, we understand the glory of our people when we keep the laws. So we encourage our people, come back to the Most High under Christ, right? You're not being punished for breaking the laws. Christ gives you succor within the UPK, right under commanding General YAHANNA. So you need
Right.
to come under commanding General YAHANNA. In the same way Mattathias now is leading his son and will be leading others, as we will soon read. In the same way commanding General is leading us, the Israelites, blacks, Hispanics, and Native American, to find succor in the UPK and to learn the proper way to worship the Most High God of Israel. Continue.
That was 14, sir.
Right. Continue. 15. We're going on.
Another one gone. Verse
Drop
15.
to 60.
Another one gone. Verse 15. In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city, mud him, to make them sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Verse
Go on.
16. Another one gone. And when many of Israel came unto them, Mattathias also and his son came together.
Continue.
Another one can, verse 17. Then answered the king's officers and said to Mattathias, and this wise, thou art a ruler and an honorable and great man in this city, and strengthened with sons and brethren.
Right. So this officer, the overseer that the king sent into each of the city now was in the city that Mattathias was. So he realized that Mattathias, this man probably was an Israelite, one of the wicked men of Israel, because your people would know you. So they know Mattathias and know that people look up to Mattathias. So they must say, you're a ruler, and you have strength with sons and brethren. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 18. Now therefore come thou first and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done. Yea, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain in Jerusalem. So shalt thou and thy house be in the number of the king's friends, and thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold and many rewards.
So they want to make Mattathias into the king's friend. So why I'm coming now? Your taskmaster.
Okay.
He now come be, them rich black Americans and rich Benjamites that you have around the place and thing, who play you right into the hand of the oppressor. So they tell him Mattathias now, you go sacrifice the thing now and lead the people then to come and do it. And you'll be given riches by the king, and you will be made, you're given the title as the king's friend. It could be a lie, because in the other chapters, in the other verses we read, where they come in and they say one thing, and as soon as people agree, they turn around and slaughter them. So let us tell Mattathias this. But anyway, read on, let's see what happened.
Another one can, verse 19. Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice, though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him, and fall away every one from the religion of their fathers, and give consent to his commandment. Verse 20. Yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers.
21.
Another one can, verse 21. God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances.
22.
One can, verse 22. We will not hearken to the king's words to go from our religion, either on the right hand or the left.
Right. So Mattathias is saying we not going to follow the king, To turn one, neither right nor left. We continue on the straight and narrow path. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 23. Now when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar, which was at Modin, according to the king's commandment.
So while he was there speaking, there come now an idolater, a Jewish man, a Jew,
Okay.
not Jewish, but Jew, coming to make his pig sacrifice right there on the altar, in the public's eyes. Continue.
Another one can, verse 24. Which thing, when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled, neither could he forbear to shew his anger according to judgment. Wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar.
So Mattathias went, just come down from where he was talking. He was making his speech and just run across to where the man was going to sacrifice the pig and just grab him, spin him on the altar and slew him on the altar, sacrifice him, boof, one stab, kill him on the altar, and then what?
Another one gun. Verse 25. Also the king's commissioner who compelled men to sacrifice, he killed at that time, and the altar he pulled down.
So the same man who was encouraging him to go and sacrifice, you're a leader to the people and things. Sacrifice them before them and make, they will follow you. Kill him and kill the thing. You have found the video?
Slack, yes, sir. La.
You find the boot keys though.
Cancer.
All right. So today now we find succor in the UPK, but we can't kill you, come and kill you for celebrating your Christmas. This is a spiritual battle, one that you have to fight. How do we kill today? We do things like these. Show, put it up, those pictures, right? We're on the street speaking. We find with the oppressors. What name again? The Quran. Take that and we sail that down the street, man.
Right.
That's what it's good for. Sailing down the street. That white Christ, we take it and we take it to turn doormat. Step in its face. This is how we slew those that set these things over us. We don't have to physically kill anybody. But when you have this white Christ as most holy and sanctimonious, and we step in that face, it burn you. This white man who you call, who you praise as your God, this is what we do with them today. This is the battle that we fight. Just as Mattathias and his sons bring the oppressor in a similar into a similar position, right on his knees, go down and kiss it.
Yeah, I'm right.
Hello?
Cancer, may I hear you loud and clear, sir?
Yeah, man.
You want the audio?
Give the brothers a kiss, man. Right on the boot there. That's where it belong. This is what we show you. Yeah, man, you can. Well, not necessarily. Is the picture we need. This is what you do to the oppressor. This is how we fight the battle today. We can't draw swords and guns and knives and things to bring the oppressor. I want to see, right? This is the battle this is how we fight the battle today in the UPK. So you come in UPK, you find succor in the UPK. This is how we fight the battle. All right, you can pause that.
Right.
Don't put it too far. I want it again. In the meantime, if you find that video, if you keep it close by too. All right, I can take him off now, but don't put it too far. We're coming right back to it. All right, so continue reading.
Another one gun. Verse Slack.
We're at verse. Okay, 25. Where we kill that is it?
Another one gun. Verse 25. Also the king's commissioner who compelled men to sacrifice, he killed at that time, and the altar he pulled down.
Right, so we don't go out there and physically kill anybody and tear down any altar. But we tear down your spiritual stronghold. That's that spiritual tower that you put, the pedestal that you put the white man on in your mind. This is what we do to them in front of you.
Okay.
And tear down that. We break your heart. Just like how we come out and we spoil us Thanksgiving. That's what that's the way the battle is being fought today. All right. Drop down to what? 27.
Canada one can, verse 27. And Mattathias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, whosoever is zealous of the law and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me.
Right, this is commanding General YAHANNA. Whosoever is zealous of the laws and of the commandments of the Most High, come in the UPK. Come follow the commanding General YAHANNA under Christ in the UPK. 28.
Canada one can, verse 28. So he and his sons fled into the mountains and left all that ever they had in the city.
Exactly. So, all the things that you are building up here, one day we might have to just run, leave it, go and hide in, leave it all behind. Maybe that was the plan under Donald Trump. Because trust me, they were coming real hard. And right, this is what the Most High just slap them with the COVID before they could make any move. Continue. We're going up to 30.
Canada one can, verse 29. Then many that sought after justice and judgment went down into the wilderness to dwell there. Verse 30. Both they and their children and their wives and their cattle, because afflictions increased sore upon them.
Okay, so this is we coming in the UPK, and we come behind commanding General YAHANNA with what? Our children, our wives, and all that we have.
Okay.
Because we realize that in the world, affliction is upon us. It's destroying us spiritually and physically, and it's increasing. All right, take me now over to chapter 3, verse 40, I think 6.
Canada one can.
No, 40, 43. Okay, we can't see.
It's a 43, sir.
Yeah. Chapter 3, verse 43.
Canada one can. This is the book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 3, verse 43. They said one to another, let us restore the decayed fortune of our people, and let us fight for our people and the sanctuary. Verse 44. Then was the congregation gathered together, that they might be ready for battle, and that they might pray and ask mercy and compassion. Verse 45. Now Jerusalem laid void as a wilderness. There was none of her children that went in or out. The sanctuary also was trodden down, and aliens kept the stronghold. The heathen had their habitation in that place, and joy was taken from Jacob, and the pipe with the harp ceased.
Right, so this is the grim picture. So what did they do now? Them see all of that and Matthias run into the bush and thing and drop down. Give me 48 now.
Canada 1 Con, verse 48. And laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images.
What is different today? Hasn't the heathen paint the likeness of the images in the book of the law? We have the
Con,
white Christ. Every picture you search on the internet, search for an angel, see how an angel, what an angel might look like. You see him depicted as a oppressor.
right.
You look for any one of the um any one of those men who were the pillars in the truth. Samson, Moses, Christ, David, any one of them, they show you as white. This is the heathen painting the likeness of their images in our scriptures, in our book of the law.
Con,
It is nothing new. No new, no order of the world ain't no new. It's the ancient order from the Greek time of the Grecians they are bringing back. They are trying to bring back. Right? Laid open when we opened the book of the law, that was because remember if you were caught with it, you were put to death. So here now them open it and going to read and to bring back Israel from it. All right. Now go over to chapter 4, 52 to 61.
Canada 1 Con.
First Maccabees chapter 4.
Slakia 50 verse 52 to
61. I think the end.
Canada 1 Con. This is the book of First Maccabees chapter 4, verse 52. Now, on the 25th day of the 9th month, which is called the month Casleo, in the 148th year, they rose up betimes in the morning, 53, and offered sacrifice according to the law upon the new altar of burnt offerings, which they had made.
Upon the new altar of burnt offering. So they had to rebuild the altar
God.
and rebuild a lot of things in the temple because they were gone to the Edens. The Edens had profaned our altar by sacrificing pigs on it. So they had to take out those stones and rebuild the altar. So here they are now putting this new altar to work. Continue.
Canada 1 Con, verse 54. Look at what time and what day the heathen had profaned it. Even in that was it dedicated with songs and citherns and harps and cymbals.
Right. Music. So they
God.
bring back the beautiful singing into the temple. 55.
Canada 1 Con, verse 55. Then all the people fell upon their faces, worshiping and praising the God of heaven, who had given them good success.
So here now they were beginning to gain um they were beginning to gain triumph over their enemies, and they
God.
built back the temple and was giving God thanks again, and people, the Israelites coming out and praising. Oh, it's not over, but we see that glimmer of light that we're all holding on to.
Right.
Continue.
Canada 1 Con, verse 56. And so they kept the dedication of the altar 8 days and offered burnt offerings with gladness and sacrificed the sacrifice of deliverance and praise.
Right. So they kept the dedication, the feast of dedication for 8 days. So
God.
today at sundown mark the beginning of the feast of this dedication in the book of Second Maccabees, chapter 4, verse 51.
Verse 52.
52 to 61.
Okay.
This marked the feast of dedication, where the new altar and the temple was rededicated to the Most High God. Basically, the
Another
old
one.
temple, because the old temple was profane. So we had to rededicate the altar and the temple to the Most High God of Israel. And we gave thanks. And this feast lasts 8 days to how joyous the people were that things come back. One day couldn't do it. One evening was not enough. We celebrated one whole week. And I'm sure you out there in the world can understand, because you know when the party nice or you dance and the party nice and police come by them a lack of sound when you just get ready to revel. You know, we know how it feel, eh? Well, here now the brothers, we no, there was no police to come lock off no sound. So we partied 8 days, and it was holy because and righteous because we were doing this unto God. Read on.
Another one. Verse 57. They decked also the forefront of the temple with crowns of gold and with shields, and the gates and the chambers they renewed and hung doors upon them.
58.
Another one. Verse 58. Thus was there very great gladness among the people, for that the reproach of the heathen was put away.
Right. So we chased them out the temple, managed to get them out the temple and get out most of the Edens that were brought into Jerusalem. We managed who no come out dead.
Okay.
Continue.
Another one. Verse 59. Moreover, Judas and his brethren with the whole congregation of Israel ordained that the days of the dedication of the altar should be kept in their season from year to year by the space of 8 days, from the 25th day of the month Casleu, with mirth and gladness.
Right. So this what was mirth? What is mirth?
Another one.
So this feast now was ordained by Judah and his brothers, the Maccabee brothers, Mattathiah's sons, ordained that we keep this feast of dedication. Find it?
Another one, sir. Amusement, especially as expressed in laughter.
Right. So it was to keep with amusement and gladness. No sadness during this time because the Most High has given us victory. And we in the UPK has done same way. The temple don't come back, but guess what? We are reorganizing. We have found succor in the UPK under commanding General YAHANNA. We are going put about the boot kiss again. We are putting the enemies, putting the oppressor to oh, this is the picture of the baby angels. Right. We are putting the oppressor once again, bit by bit, under our feet.
Right.
Put up that boot kiss again.
Another one.
So this now, when we keep this feast of dedication, there should be no sad faces. Be happy that the Most High has grant unto us succor in the UPK under commanding General YAHANNA, and that we are able to once again peacefully, even though they cut off with video and things when they're ready, but at least for the greater part, peaceably keep the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments, and go on the streets and set this oppressor on him knee and him face down to the ground,
Right.
and giving our beloved brothers of the UPK a boot kiss.
Right.
Right? So one day is the time will come when that boot kiss going to turn a bloody mouth, man. Or yourself.
God.
I don't have to explain what that means. They are just 1 foot height away of getting a bloody mouth.
Right.
Right. So this feast of dedication was also celebrated by Christ. So in case you know love talk about, but we are New Testament Christians, man. We don't. It's only what Christ did and only what Christ said. Give me John 10 and 22. It's only what Christ did and what Christ said. We follow. And this is way in some books that they had even taken out the Bible. Give me John 10 and 22. Let's see what happens.
Canada one can. This is the book of John, chapter
people,
10.
Our people are so difficult to, believe it or not, they are difficult to lead. Go on.
Canada one can. This is the book of John, chapter 10, verse 22. And it was at Jerusalem, the feast of dedication, and it was winter.
23.
Canada one can, verse 23. And YAHANNA walked in the temple in Solomon's porch.
Right. So this, because of this dedication that we were reading about in Maccabees, Christ was able to come now into the temple. Okay, remember what was happening in the temple? They had even changed the name and call it the Temple of Jupiter Olympus, and sacrifice all wars and all kind of things in the temple. And now Christ is able to walk into the temple because of that. So because of we believing in Christ, we also keep the Feast of Dedication, because without the Feast of Dedication, we wouldn't have Christ.
Right.
We would not be able to keep the ordinances all the way down until Christ came.
God.
So Christ himself did not despise the Feast of Dedication. Hachanakka, this is what we should be keeping. Your oppressor down there keeping it. But don't worry, one day we'll get the chance to show them the right way to keep it and their position where they should be when we are keeping it. So don't be worried. All right, questions. Any question?
Sir, not right now.
Not right now.
Sir.
All right, so with that, we pass the class to priest and officer. Kayadwan.
All right, clap it up.
Where is this? Oh.
These are the I.S.U.P.K security announcements. The I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General YAHANNA. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or a sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. After 6 months, if a brother or a sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or a sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment, you can find this in Numbers chapter 18, verse 21, and Malachi chapter 3, verse 8 to 10. Means tenth in the Hebrew and is pronounced ma'ashra. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming Holy Convocation. Well, we are in the feast of dedication. You know what I mean? Next Holy Convocation would be like what, the closing, sir? Salakia.
Yeah, really no closing, but what you do, you state that we are in the feast of dedication, and you continue what it, where you find it, and so on.
Okay, Canada one can. Yeah, man. So we're in the feast of dedication or Hachanakka. You know what I mean? This is the 25th day of the 9th month by the space of 8 days. It starts today, Sunday, the 28th of November. You know what I mean? For 8 days. You can find this in 1 Maccabees 4, verse 42 to 61. Reminding Akiam and Akwatiam to check on social media such as ISUPK.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for ISUPK events and material. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he needs to start wearing all black, which includes black boot, shirt, pants, headband, or scarf. And with that, we say Imadium, which means to stand. Sarlapanya Aquadam, which means to turn towards the east. We're going to say the Lord's Prayer in Hebrew and then in English. Abanawa,
Habanawa,
Shabashamayam,
Shabashamaya,
Kwadash, Aya,
Kwada,
Shamka,
Aya,
Aya,
Shamka,
Yahweh,
Aya, Yahweh,
Malakwatka,
Malakwatka,
Taba'a,
Taba'a, Atazaka,
Aisha,
Aisha,
Barataza,
Barataza,
Kaw,
Kawa, Atalanawa, Kaya, Machamaya,
Lafanlanawa,
Latalanawa,
Lakam,
Lakam,
Kal,
Kam,
Wam,
Kawam, Yawam,
Wasalaklanawa,
Wasalaklanawa,
Kawabwatnawa,
Kawawatnawa,
Kasalatnawa,
Kasalatnawa,
Kawabwatyanawa,
Kawawatyanawa, Wala,
Tabayanawa,
Tabayanawa,
Wanasayawan,
Wanasayawan,
Abal,
Aba,
Awashainawa,
Awashainawa,
Mayan,
Maya,
Rai,
Rai,
Kaya,
Kaya,
Laka,
Laka.
Amalakwa.
Amalakwa.
Wa'ala.
Wahana.
Watapara.
Wataparan.
La Iwalamiam.
Iwalam.
Ama.
Amen. In English, our Father which art in heaven,
Our Father which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread,
Give us this day our daily bread,
and forgive us our debts,
and forgive us our debts,
as we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation,
And lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
Thine is the kingdom,
and the power,
and the power,
and the glory,
and the glory,
forever so be it. Amen.
forever so be it. Amen.
Prayer for the curses. Blessed are you, Yahweh, King of heaven and earth, and all things living. Yahweh,
Yahweh,
in the name of Yahushua,
in the name of Yahweh,
listen to us now,
listen to us now,
right now.
right now.
Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction
Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction
to the heathen
to the heathen
that speak against us, thy prophets,
that speak against us, thy prophets,
the teachers,
the teachers,
the princes,
the princes,
the priests,
priests,
the Israelite brothers and the school.
the Israelite brothers and the school.
Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction to the heathen,
Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction to the heathen,
and shake loose the treasure of the rich of Israel,
and shake loose the treasures of the rich of Israel
that refuse to give to the school. Force their riches to enter into thy sanctuary.
force their riches to enter into thy sanctuary.
Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction
Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction
to the Edomites
to the Edomites
and the nations
and the nations
and their drug dealers,
and their drug dealers,
the court system, the prison system, Planned Parenthood, all the governments of our enemies,
all the governments of our enemies,
Amalek synagogues and armies,
Amalek synagogues and armies,
Roman Catholic Church,
Roman Catholic Church,
the Pope,
Pope,
Islam,
Islam,
Christianity,
Christianity,
Egyptology,
Egyptology,
militia,
militia,
Ku Klux Klan,
Ku Klux Klan,
Aryan Nation,
Aryan Nation,
skinheads,
skinheads,
Posse Comitazi,
Pasikomatazi,
the gay movement,
gay movement,
the lesbian movement,
the lesbian movement,
spies,
spies,
workers of witchcraft,
workers of witchcraft,
NASA space program,
NASA space program,
Army,
Army,
Navy,
Navy,
Air Force,
Air Force,
Marines,
Marines,
Wall Street.
Wall Street,
Open up the internet and the airways,
open up the internet and the airways,
the cable access channels,
cable access channels,
and the radio channels.
and the radio channels.
Convict the spirit of any of thy people
Convict the spirit of any of thy people
that seek to stop us
that seek to stop us
and bring swift destruction to all the heathen
and bring swift destruction to all the heathens
that stand in the way or try to stop us from broadcasting your words
that stand in the way or try to stop us from broadcasting your words
throughout the planet Earth.
throughout the planet Earth.
Let loose all the plagues,
Let loose all the plagues,
cause them to go to and fro
cause them to go to and fro
through the earth
through the earth
and consume them.
and consume them.
Let the plagues shake
Let the plagues shake
the house of the thief and the murderer.
the house of the thief and the murderer.
Let Yahweh, Michael, and Gabriel
Let Yahushai, Michael, and Gabriel
come down with the flying saucers
come down with the flying saucers
and punish all the heathens
and punish all the Edens
that come up against us
that come up against us
as we speak thy word.
as we speak thy word.
Cause it to be known by all
Cause it to be known by all
that it is the angels that have done it.
that it is the angels that has done it.
Cause it to be spread through the media,
Cause it to be spread
throughout the whole world.
throughout the world.
Cause them to shake at thy coming. In the name of Yahweh, I thank you always so be.
In the name of Yahushai, thank you always, so be it.
Prayer for the poor.
Another one can. All right, this is the prayer for the power in Hebrew. Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai.
Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai.
Baba Kwasha.
Baba Kosha.
Nathan Lanawa.
Nathan Lana.
Akak.
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 Larapa'a.
Larapa.
Kalmakala.
Kalbakala.
Wakal Madawa.
Wakal Madawa.
Akak.
Akak.
Lata'a.
Lata'a.
Amatazaria.
Amatazarim.
Akak.
Akak.
La Aquaya.
Lakwaya.
Amathia.
Amatia.
Akak.
Akak.
Irakawa.
Arakawa.
Atamala.
Atamala.
Lagarashan.
Agarashan.
Ba'asham Yahushai.
Basham Yahushai.
Tawara Aman.
Tuarama. In English, Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai.
Yahweh in the name of Yahushai.
Please give us the power
Please give us the power.
the power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease.
The power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease.
The power to cleanse the leper.
The power to cleanse the leper.
The power to raise the dead.
The power to raise the dead.
The power to cast out unclean spirits.
The power against unclean spirits.
To cast them out in the name of Yahweh Shai.
To cast them out in the name of Yahushai.
Thank you, so be.
So be it. All right, this is the prayer for the blessing in the Hebrew. Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai.
Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai.
Barak Lanawa.
Work it now.
Wayasharala.
Wayasharala.
Ah.
Ma'a.
Wayatapariam.
Mayatsapariam.
Barak.
Barak.
Rapa'a.
Rapa'a.
Gan.
Magan. Magan.
Commanding General Yahanna.
Commanding General Yahanna.
The generals.
The generals.
Captains.
The captains.
The officers.
the officers,
troopers,
the troopers,
the young men and the sisters,
the young men and the sisters.
Washami Awashai,
Washami Awashai,
toward our man.
toward our man. All right, what we just said in English. Lord, in the name of Yahweh with Jesus, bless us and Israel and the school. Bless, heal, shield, protect our loved ones in the name of Yahweh. Thank you.
Sorry, which means turn. We're going to give one courtesy salute to the teacher, men of Israel. I.M.A.D.U.M. Shabbat. I.M.A.D.U.M. Barak. Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai Barakatha.
Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai Barakatha.
Yadamata. We're going to give one courtesy salute to the sisters, men of Israel. Sar, which means turn and face the sisters, men of Israel. I.M.A.D.U.M. Shabbat. I.M.A.D.U.M. Barak. Yahweh Shamar Alathan Ba'asham Yahweh Shai. Yadamata. Class dismissed.
All right, let's play the video there and sign out.
Cancer. They say run back the boot kiss video.
Yeah, you can run it back and play the sound with it.
Cancer. All right. Slack here. Look like. All right, I have to go find it back. Slack here.
Close that window.
By accident.
All right, never can find it now, so I found it.
No, I find it, sir. Slack.
If I can't find it now, so just play back the video that we would play. I will close out.
Gone, sir. Slack here.
In this time of the pandemic, where COVID-19 has crippled the world economies, where our government has ordered nationwide shutdown, where hospitals are overwhelmed.
Shortly after, the unthinkable happened.
I was literally stunned and frozen.
And their religious leaders are proven to be frauds. Where do you go to get all your questions answered and to hear what God has to say about this matter? You can only find the answers in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge under Commanding General YAHANNA. We give you scriptural breakdowns of world events and the up and coming world war. We will show you in the Bible where the children of Israel, who are the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans today, would suffer slavery in Jamaica, Caribbean, North, Central, and South America, and other parts of the world. We will show you in the Bible where God said He would send plagues upon the earth before He frees people from this captivity.
The World Health Organization has declared coronavirus a global pandemic.
We will give you the true teaching of the Bible, precept upon precept. To learn more, subscribe today and call the number in the description for I.S.U.P.K Jamaica. Shalom.
must lick up the dust from our boots if you are truly sorry. Are you willing? First up the God. Step forward. Everybody else, round quarter, go ahead. Go ahead, step forward. Lick up the dust. Read it. Read what it says.
And lick up the dust from thy feet.
Go ahead. There's dust down there. Lick up the dust. Go ahead. Next man, hurry up. Let's get it. Hurry up. Hurry up. Give him a hand. Give Eli a hand. Make sure he gets it. Barack, you step in there too, huh? Go on down, brother. Go on down. And do what?
And lick up the dust of thy feet.
And do what?
And lick up the dust of thy feet.
Go ahead. Say it again.
And lick up the dust of thy feet.
Bring them signs in. Let Eli step
and
over.
Lick up
and
the
get
dust
these boots up
of
here.
thy feet.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Arawadia. Pull them signs back. You read it. Read it.
And lick up
Come
the
on,
dust
Eli. You
of
got
thy
two more
feet.
boots to go. You got two more boots to go. Right here and right up there. Pull the signs back. Right here.
And lick up
This brother right
the
here.
dust of thy feet.
That's right. You can step back, Eli. Barakatah Yahweh Yahweh Shah.
Come ya SHALAM! Come ya SHALAM! Come ya SHALAM!
This is not by the will of man, but the will of God. We ain't vote you for this. We ain't pay you for this. This is the spirit of the Lord. Black man, you ain't got to take up no arms against your oppressor. Eli admit his people are devils. You serve the Lord, and he will even make your enemies bow down before you. Eli, I want to say this to you. You are a credit to your race. What you just did is very, very light compared to what your people did to us for slavery. Eli, in the kingdom that's to come, when Christ returns, you are going to be high up over your people. You're going to have to tell your people, listen to the niggers, listen to Master Nigger. You're going to be Martin Luther King to your people. It sounds funny, but you're an honest white man. You're an absolute honest white man and a credit to your race. An absolute credit to your race, Eli. I would shake your hand if it wasn't for Corona. I would give you that air. Anything else you want to say, Eli? Listen, Eli, I appreciate you. You are an honest white man. And the Lord will spare you the wrath of the rest of your brothers and sisters. I guarantee. I will even step and ask the Lord, spare Eli. He got down on his knees and he kissed the boots. He licked up the dust from the boots of the slaves who his foreparents murdered. Foreparents destroyed. You're way better than that fool Brandon from Washington. This is the truth right here, man. The Israelite school of UPK on the commanding journey, Hannah. This is the prophets of the Lord. This is the house of God. Eli, you are an absolute credit to your race, bro. You are a credit to your race.
Let's give that powerful priest and captain a hand.
That's right.
Everything he